Hi guys, in this video we will be building a counter application using GetX in Flutter. So basically what is GetX? It is a package provided by the Flutter and it is a powerful lightweight solution for state management where we can do dependency injection, route management properly in Flutter. So for implementing the getX, we need to follow steps. First, we need to create a controller. Then we need to declare the variables with .obs, and then the methods that we need to add into that class. So let's see the steps one by one. Here you can see that I had created an application, simple application using Flutter create command, and I had deployed that application onto this virtual ABD. So first thing what I will do is that I will install the getX package using the flutter command, flutter pub get. This will install the getX package that we will be using in this application. If we check into that pubspec.yaml, you can see that the get is added. So let's get into the main.dart file, and here I will remove the comments for code readability. Remove this home page totally. Okay, so first we will create two pages to check whether if we are making any variable change or something, are these changes reflected in both the pages or not. So for that I will create an initial route which will be pointing toward home, and routes will be, let's create, first will be home page dot dart. Let's go with home page. I will name it as home page. Then moving into the main file, I will point it toward the home page, and here I will simply add a scaffold widget which will have an app bar, and it will have a title of text which will be just string count type. Okay, and there will be a body that I will pass container. Okay, for that it's okay. And if I try to reload the application, okay, I need to do a restart. Yeah, so the counter app has appeared here that we had used it in homepage.dart. So this page has rendered. So let's follow the step that we have mentioned here. First, we need to create a class for count controller. Controller is nothing where we define all the variables and methods that we are going to use. So in lib, we will create a folder controller, and in that controller, we will name a file as counter controller. Okay, so here we need to create a class named as counter controller, which will extend the getX controller. So we can use the state management functions into our counter controller class, And here we'll create a variable called as count, which will be 0 initially, and we need to use OBS here. So what is OBS? OBS is nothing but it makes this count variable as observable. What means observable? That if we change the value of this count, then it must be reflected where we had used this variable. So for that we need to add it as OBS. It means that it is stated as observable. The value can be changed. And once we define the variable, we need to define the methods such as add count, which will increase the value of count. Okay. And next one will be delete count. Yeah. Once the controller has been defined, we need to create a controller. We need to say that we had created a controller and we need to put it into our application. So for that we need to initialize this controller, and we will do it in the main.dart file. Here the method is like get dot put, where we will directly put counter controller. Yeah, so this controller had been initialized into our application and we can use it into our screens or into our application. So what we will do, we will go into the home page and we will access that controller. So we'll create a variable as counter controller, and for accessing that controller we have a method called as find. Okay, we need to pass it into this type of brackets, counter controller, and yeah, we had accessed that controller here. That's final. Okay, this thing has done. Now in container we will create a column, and it will have a children. So first we need to display the variable count variable here, and below that there will be two buttons. First one is to increment and next one is to decrement that counter. Okay, so what we will do, we will create a text here, and the text will be getting the value from the counter controller, what count, and as it is an integer format we need to convert it into the string. After converting into the string, it will work. So let's try to reload the application to check like whether it works or not. And here you can see the 0 is appearing here. Let's increase the font size to 60. Okay, the count is 0. I hope that you are able to see it. Okay, and we will create two buttons, elevated buttons. First one will increment the count. So here we will use counter controller dot add count that we had defined into our controller class, and we will name the child as text, where we'll just say add count. Try to reload. Yeah, button has appeared here. Let's increase the text style for that button too. Let's try to reload. Okay, the button is visible. But there is one thing that we had not implemented. Like if we click on add count, the count will not get incremented. Yeah, I had clicked that button and the count is not incremented. Do you remember that we had added .obs here to make it observable? So for using this variable, we need to wrap up inside obx. It will just get a builder, or we can directly write it as this, and we need to pass where we are using that variable. So as we are using it into the text, so we need to pass it into the OBS. Got it? Now, if we try to reload the application, the count should be 1. And if we click on add count, the count is incrementing. In this way, uh, the observable variables are rendered onto our screen. So where we had used this variable, we need to wrap up into the OBX where it can say that the value has incremented and I need to render it. Okay. So similar thing I need to do for decrement count. Click a button here and it will say decrease count. And rather than add count, I will name it as delete count. If I try to reload application, then 2 buttons will be there. Just I will reduce the style. Okay. I'm not doing proper styling, just it is for tutorial purpose. So if I click on decrease count, the count is decremented. Now we had implemented it for one screen. Let's check whether this count will remain same for another screen or not. So what we will do, we'll create another screen, which will be second screen dot dart, and it will be stateful widget. I will name it as second screen. So here, what I will do in main.dart file, as we had assigned root for home page, then we need to assign it same for the second page. Let's do it for second context, second screen. Okay, we had assigned it, and in second screen, I will create a scaffold widget. Here I will pass an app bar. Which will have a title named as second screen. It will have a body, and inside body, let's wrap it inside a container. And the same process, we are going to use child column, and we will be creating that OBX where we will pass all these values. So I will copy these 3 because we need to implement it same. Just it. Okay, so these 3 buttons are implemented, but we need to define the counter controller. We had defined it already, we need to access it. So what is that? Get dot find, and here I need to pass counter controller. Okay, it should work. Now I will create one button in home page which will move to second screen. So it will be same, just I will copy this top, paste it here, next page. Okay, and rather than using this delete count, I will use navigator dot push named, where it will receive a context and we need to pass the root name that we had defined in main.dart. So in main.dart, we had defined the root as .second. So here we will write it as second and a semicolon. So this should work. Yeah, next page is appearing, and need to create same button on the second screen where we can navigate to the first page. So rather than using push name, what I will do, I will use pop, because in stack if we push one element and another element, we can pop out the first element and get back to the original one. So same concept we are appearing here, we are applying here. I will use pop and it will redirect to the first page. Okay, let's try to reload. As you can see, the count is 1. I will increase the count to 5, and if the variable is accessed all over the application, its value should remain same for other screen too. Let's see whether it is same for the second screen or not. If I click on next page, then second screen is appeared and the count is same. So what I will do, I will decrease the count from this screen, and let's check the value will be same for the first screen or not. And if I try to go to the first screen, okay, here it is next page. I will change it. And if I try to go to the first page, the count is 1. Let's do it to -4. If I go to first page, the count is remaining same. So in this way, the getX work. We can efficiently manage the state, and we can pass the values over our applications without any code or thing. If you are not using getX, then we need to pass the values through navigator function, which will be a tedious task if our application is big. So in this case, the getX efficiently manages all the state. So just a friendly recap, like we had declared a counter controller where we had initialized the variable and use .obs to make it observable so that its value changes, it should be rendered onto the screen. Then we had created methods for incrementing and decrementing count. Then in main.dart, we had initialized that counter using get.put, and after putting that counter into our application, it means that we will be able to find the controller and use it into our screen. And similarly, we had accessed that controller using get.find and used it into our application. Okay, so this was all about getX. I will put the code GitHub link into the description. Yeah, thank you.